All right, this is the Last Moment podcast where we'll talk about paranormal conspiracies and the unexplained. We're going to do something a little bit different. Our friend Gage here, who was in another episode of ours,
So,
he's visiting, and he actually has some paranormal and creepy stories to tell. So we're going to let him have the floor. I'm Travi.
I'm Gage.
I'm Beto.
And I'm Yamato.
All right, Gage, kick it off.
Alright, so this is like when I was in boot camp at RTC Great Lakes. The first one tell, was when I was about to kind of graduate in my current division. So, around graduation, you have like a lot of free time. So, me and my partner, I'm just going to call him B because I don't want to say his actual name. We had to go down to a empty compartment where we were storing, I forgot what we had in there that we had to grab, but we walked down, we get into the compartment, completely empty, there's exercise equipment in it, so we're like, fuck it, we're gonna just exercise a bit. So we're doing pull-ups, free weights, that type of stuff. And in this compartment, you walk in, on your left was the fishbowl, where like the RDCs would be, basically your training commanders. And then on your right was basically a whole empty area just with a bunch of racks in the back kind of stacked together. So we're in there, we're exercising, and then it's completely dark in there. We hear, "Hey guys," just coming from the bathroom. I'm like, what the fuck? And we see this kid walk out, and he's in uniform. I'm like, "Yo, bro, what's up?" He's like, "Hey guys." We're like, "Yeah, what's up? What division are you from?" And he says, "Hey guys," once again. And I'm like, this guy's fucking weird. Like, me and B looked at each other and like, this guy's fucking weird. They're like, "You want to join us?" He's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, all right, cool. And he just keeps on standing there. And he's kind of still like halfway inside the bathroom. And like, he's very like, kind of barely see him. But we know he's in like the recruit uniform, all that. So we're like, fuck it. And we continue working out. And like, we're finishing up our reps. And he says, "Hey guys," once again. We're like, what the fuck? And my boy B, he's like, "Yo, what the fuck?" And he like starts walking towards him, and he's like ready to fight this kid. And I was like, oh shit. And he just says it again, and the fucking lights in the compartment flicker, like on, like they turn on super quick and then off. And my boy fucking jumps back, and he just books it out of there. I'm like, oh shit. So I run with him. I like leave behind, like we leave behind our covers, like our like watch caps, and we're like, oh shit. So we get back to we're halfway down the hallway, and we're like, oh shit. I was like, I forgot my cover. And he's like, you gotta grab that, because we like just graduated, so we had our 8 points, like our ball caps. Because normally you had like a recruit ball cap, and then you had your 8 point, which meant you're actually a sailor now. Okay. I was like, oh shit, I can't just leave that there. Because we had 2, but they did checks to make sure you had 2. So I was like, I'm gonna get my ass beat if I don't have this. So I'm like, alright, hyped myself up. I go back into the compartment, completely dark. I don't see this kid anywhere. I'm like, just kind of looking around. I'm like, I'm just gonna run in and fucking grab it. So I, like, full sprint in there. I grab my cover that was next to the workout equipment. I'm like running back. As I'm running back, I feel like I'm just going slower and slower. Oh, shit. And I don't know. I can't describe the presence I felt, but it felt like someone was trying to grab me.
Oh shit.
And I'm just like fucking running as fast as I can, but it felt like slowly walking. I get out of there. I'm like, holy shit. Like, I was sweating. It was cold sweat, too. I make it back to my buddy. I'm like, we're not fucking talking about this.
He didn't go in there with you?
No, you said, fuck you.
Oh,
You just left me in there.
I thought you don't leave a man behind.
Nah.
He was like, "Ain't fuck that shit."
Yeah.
So my homeboy went up to try to fight this, I guess, kid or whatever he was.
Yeah.
And the lights flickered. Did he notice that the kid disappeared when the lights flickered, or did he just book it?
He just booked it.
He
He didn't talk about it. He was that sick. He was like that freaked out about it. He did not want to talk about it at all.
Yeah, it sounds like when people do that thing where they say like there's multiple universes, and then sometimes somebody will like I guess kind of lag into the other universe.
Yeah.
It's like he was having a conversation with somebody else, and you guys were seeing him like phase through.
Fuck,
Oh,
maybe.
shit.
Yeah, that's weird.
Another story was when I was on watch on the quarter deck with another boy. I'm just gonna say G because his name started with a G. And this was quarter deck watch. So you're out in front of the door, and then there's the OOD, officer of the deck. He's just doing paperwork, making sure we're not fucking off, which we always fucked off because it was like the midnight to 2 a.m. watch. So I have security, so I'm just standing there writing down every time someone comes in, comes out. And the other guy was the rover, so he had a temperature sheet, and he would walk to each compartment, making sure every compartment's good. Like, he would haul out a number, and the watchstander on the other side of the compartment would give a number back, saying, yeah, our conditions are good. He would come back, report to the OOD, come back to me, I'd write it down. And he walks down, I'm like watching him down the hallway, because I could kind of see him. I'm bored, so what else am I gonna do? And I just see him stop in the middle of the hallway, and he just comes running back. He's like, bro, there's a fucking girl at the very end next to the ladder well. Because at the very end of the hallway, there's a staircase leading up to the second floor, third floor. And in this building, we were only a one floor compartment division thing. So we had the females and then 2 male divisions. So he runs back. He's like, I saw a fucking female. I was like, no, the fuck he didn't. And he's like, no, I fucking swear. And the OD hears us. He's like, what the fuck's going on? He walks out. It's this big ass first class. He's like, yo, what the fuck? He's like, petty officer, I saw a female. He's like, all right, well, if you see her again, let me know. Just go do your runs. He was like, all right. So he's like walking very slowly down this fucking hallway, and I fucking see the girl at the very end dart up the staircase again, and he sees it too. So both me and him go to the OD and like, petty officer, we swear to God we're seeing a fucking female. He's like, all right, shit. He puts down his box mod. He's like, God damn it. And he gets up. He's going down the hallway with my buddy, and they start going towards the staircase, and they go up the flight of stairs. I'm just sitting there alone. I'm like chilling, kind of scared. And I see them both walk down, and they looked fucking like ghosts. Like they were pale. And the OD comes. Yeah, even the first class. The OD walks back. He's like, so yeah, there's definitely a female running around upstairs. And he goes to his office, and he calls his like chief or whoever he's supposed to report to, and he's like, yeah, so there's a female recruit running around. We can't find her. The chief's officer comes in as well, and they're both talking to the first class. And they're looking through the footage, and nothing's popping up.
Oh, man.
And so they start talking to me and G, and we're like, yeah, there's this female, long black hair, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, all right. So that was kind of that. And the first class got in trouble for falsifying a report. Yeah. So they called him a liar, and they called us liars.
Wow.
And
Yeah, because they didn't see it on camera.
yeah, so
That's BS.
we got sent back to our compartment, and we get in, and we stayed up the entire night in the corner just fucking around.
So it was strange to see a girl in that building because there weren't girls.
There
in
was a female compartment, and the females got yelled at for it. Like, they got beat. Beat as in they had to do a bunch of exercises, like push-ups, all that.
Not like the other kind of beat.
So did it look like? Did this girl look like? Was she wearing like a uniform that
So
they'd be wearing there?
she was wearing like the uniform that we normally wear, but her hair was longer than it should have been. It
Did
was
you guys
like-
see the face? Like, did you see
No,
her?
just the back of her.
That's like some grudge shit. Like Sadako,
I
the
was
ring
about to say,
shit.
did she look like the girl from The Grudge but in a military uniform?
Was she hot? That's the
I don't-
question.
Shit,
You
maybe.
said
Big
in the
booty.
military, they're all
Big booty, big, boobies.
Yeah.
You know, the whole 9 yards.
I don't know if your girl's gonna want to hear you talk about
That's true.
Oh shit.
I'm
And
just joking, guys. I was
here's
joking.
another one, kind of similar story. Kind of looked like the same girl. This was when I was stuck
Oh.
in RCU, recruit convalescent unit. So when you get injured in boot camp, they send you there. It's shitty. There's a lot of like really depressed people there. So I was the starboard watch and port watch. So I made the watch bills for everyone, made sure people were on their watches. If anything happened during watch, I'd get yelled at or people would come to me. So one night I'm sleeping. My fucking watch stander wakes me up at like 2 in the morning. He's like, hey, I saw a female run across the fishbowl. So on the doors there's a little glass window
Oh,
where you could see out of it. He's like, I saw
Porthole.
someone run past it and was banging on the doors. I was like, fuck. So I get dressed and I take the watch bill and I'm talking to my watch standers and they're like, yeah, we both saw it. I was like, all right. So I go down to the quarterdeck to make sure the watch standers there are doing good. And right now it's on the female shift, so I'm like, if I get yelled at for talking to females in the middle of the night, I'm just gonna quit. So I'm talking to them like, hey, did you guys see anything? They're like, yeah, there's like this female running across. I was like, did you recognize her? They're like, no, we haven't even seen her in our like entire time here. And mind you, this is the same ship as my old division. It was connected in a way, so it was like a U shape. So there's a ship on the left, ship in the middle, ship on the right. We called them ships, but they're buildings. And RCU only has 2 divisions, female and male, but technically same division. So I'm talking to them, I'm like, alright, cool, whatever. I'm gonna go back to sleep. Because I'm too tired to deal with this bullshit. So
Did that one look like the previous one?
I'm getting there.
It's
And
scary.
so I'm walking down the hallway, and I fucking hear banging on the walls. I'm like, alright, I guess it's fucking real. So I turn around, and I see the fucking female recruit that they're talking about. Long black hair, military uniform, just running down the hallway. I'm like, oh shit. So I run back to my compartment. I don't even care about the female quarterdeck watch. I get into the my compartment. They're like, hey, did the female see it? I'm like, nah, you're good. I'm like, just don't worry about it.
Don't worry about
This is the same one.
So
Wow.
I just go back to sleep. I'm like, I'm not gonna deal with this.
That's how it works. If you ignore it, they go away.
Yeah, I was tired, man.
Hell no.
That's
So,
crazy.
Yeah. And then I guess another story would be when everyone in my division threw up. I kind of told this earlier, but everyone in my division, it was like 2 weeks into boot camp. We were all sleeping, and one guy just wakes up screaming, and like, oh my god, night terrors or whatever. I don't know. He was a weird dude, so it wasn't out of the ordinary for it.
There's no
So-
normal Tuesday.
And then we hear him just vomit so hard. We're like, what the fuck just happened? Everyone's awake at this point, and fucking all the lights turn on all of a sudden, and everyone starts to like vomit like down the entire compartment. Like there's
It's
60.
like the signal.
Yeah, there's like 60 people in this compartment all vomiting.
Oh.
Everyone's like running to the bathroom trying to fucking find a toilet. We were vomiting in like urinals in the shower. And like the light flipped back off, and our watch standers were throwing up as well. And they were nowhere near the lights because you have to go into like the RDC's office area to flick on, flick off the lights, if I remember correctly. So they were throwing up as well. And I'm like, oh god. Everyone had like massive headaches, and like we all eventually lay back down in our rags with the lights out. And that entire night, the lights would flick on, and you could just hear people throw up.
Damn.
I only threw up once during that entire time, but it felt like a pressure, like coming down on your chest.
Dang.
I don't really know how to describe it better than that.
Mhm.
But in the morning, and this was that was the first time everyone was like throwing up in the compartment. But past that point, the same like two dudes kept on waking up with like scratch marks down their backs, on their legs. One guy got scratched so bad that his entire leg was bleeding,
Wow.
and no one like knew what the fuck was happening to him because he wouldn't feel it at night. He would just wake up,
You feel the burn.
yeah, feel the burn, check his leg, and it was like bleeding. Like holy
Yeah.
shit.
I think a lot of people who like are paranormal like investigators or like researchers, they always say that for a scratch to happen, like to materialize on flesh, it takes like a really really powerful like spirit or demon to do that shit.
Yeah.
Imagine that thing scratched two people and drew blood.
Yeah, the first guy's back. He didn't really have any like blood or anything, but
Just marks.
the other guy's leg, one of those scratches turned into a small scar.
Wow.
And like by the end of it, like I noticed, I was like, holy shit, man, you got a scar.
Yeah.
That's scary but cool at the same time.
Yeah. Like getting a scar from a ghost.
Yeah.
Or
Imagine.
demon.
Yeah, fuck that. 'Cause then you go home and you still have it.
Yeah.
That means he got marked.
Yeah, probably.
Shit.
So that's
And,
a bad thing, right? Because like
That
that
means
means
he's like, you belong to him now.
like they follow the
I
they'll
think so.
follow.
I think that's an attachment.
Oh shit! Speaking of following, in Pensacola, my roommate had a Ouija board.
Oh my god, no.
one of the buddies of mine.
No story,
And-
no good story starts off with Ouija boards.
And so I'm in his room, and it's like kind of late at night, and his roommate's out, like probably at a party or something because it's Pensacola during the weekend.
Beach town.
Yeah, big frat house. That's what the barracks were.
Party.
Parties all the time. Anyway, so he's playing with this Ouija board, and he was playing it by himself. I was just chilling in the room. He was like asking questions and acting like it was music. I'm like, you're a dumbass. And like past that point, every time someone went to his room, you'd feel super tired. Like you'd just want to pass out. So he would never stay in his room. Same with his roommate. Like his roommate would like pass out as soon as he get in there. I'd go in there
Weird.
for like 10 minutes and feel so tired. Like I was like, I'm not gonna sleep in here.
So it's like whatever he was talking to, it didn't attach to him, it attached to the room.
Probably because you'd just fall asleep in that room, and no other room was like kind of like that.
So like those people who have trouble sleeping, they should go to that room.
Oh yeah.
Or rent that room out.
I,
on
feel,
Airbnb.
I feel bad for whoever had that room after him.
We need sleeping pills, right? We
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah, except for you're gonna be sleeping with whatever.
Oh shit. And then also in Pensacola, it was during like Christmas time. My boy and I, it was Christmas Day, and we were trying to get alcohol. Like we were going to every store, and they were always closed. And we're like, fuck. And we finally found this liquor store that was open. And we get in there, we buy our booze. I think I got vodka and he got some sort of whiskey. And we're walking back. It's dark as fuck at this point, like middle of the night. And we're walking through these buildings, a bunch of random ass alleyways trying to get back to base. Because we can't afford an Uber, but we could afford alcohol.
Priorities.
Yeah. And we see this like weird fucking dog thing.
What?
And we're like, what the fuck is that? Is that a dog? And we're like, oh, let's not worry about it. So we continue walking, and eventually we sit in this park, and we're just chilling, having a smoke. And we see the same, like, weird-looking dog. Like, imagine a dog just not looking like a dog.
But actually on 4 feet. Or
Yeah,
4 legs.
it's on 4 legs, but think about a starved dog that doesn't look right.
There was something uncanny about it.
Yeah, uncanny, that's the word.
Yeah.
And
Canine
it was
about
just,
it.
it was
Canine.
fucking staring at us, and it's dark as shit, so we could, like, barely see its eyes, but when my buddy put the flashlight on it, you could kind of see it, and it was just creepy, man.
How far was it?
It was, like, across the street, so imagine a park, and then the park's, like, halfway, oh, God, I can draw it, so park, street, buildings, like, houses.
Okay.
And I was in between these two people's neighborhoods, just staring at us. I'm like, oh, let's get
Damn.
out
You
of
guys were
here.
at the park?
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's pretty close.
So we were like, all right, we scarfed down our cigarettes, put them out, and started walking back to base again. and like every time it was just following us.
Really? Just
Yeah, like
Stalking, like slowly.
yeah, like every time we would look behind us, it was like kind of just far enough away from us where we couldn't make it out, but we knew it was there. And by the time we got to like, there's this gas station before the bridge onto the base. By the time we got to there, it stopped following us. So like,
Did you see like the eye color or anything like that? Like
it was
did
just like glowing eyes, I guess.
Oh, like it's just a regular, almost like a regular dog.
Yeah, like a normal dog eyes, I would say.
Did you know there's a, like, not, I guess not a theory, but there's like, there's documented facts that there's hyenas in the States.
What?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I guess dating back to a certain time, there was hyenas in North America.
What the hell?
And they said it's very likely that there still might be hyenas out there.
Shit, it may have been a hyena.
But
I
I was like either hellhound or hyena.
Well, that was the same friend that played with the Ouija board, to be fair.
Probably a hellhound.
Wait, hellhound, is that like a cryptid or two?
No,
or?
it's like they're like from the underground.
Oh.
underworld.
Sometimes if you make a deal with the
Hell.
devil, when
They
your
retrieve.
time is up, they come out and
They
try
come
to
and get you.
Oh shit.
Oh,
You know how like
Almost
dogs
like-
play fetch? You're the bone. They're going.
So
out.
in a way, they're almost kind of like the Grim Reaper in a way too.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah,
wow.
They're just coming
But
to collect the demon's dead.
instead of hitting you with what's the thing that the Green Reaper has?
Oh, the
The
sight.
scythe.
Instead of hitting you that, they tear you to shreds.
Oh.
Like wow, like destroy, like bite you and eat you
Yep.
up and everything.
They'll
Wow.
bite you into shreds and then you die and go to hell.
Damn.
And it was the
That's the
same
job.
friend you said that had the Ouija board.
Yeah. He was also the same, he was one of the guys in my RCU, division.
He's practically asking for bad things to happen with the freaking Ouija board. Like really?
He was my rack mate. He was a good guy.
He's probably like, I'm gonna die soon, Gage, but don't worry.
Me and you together.
Don't worry, I got my whiskey. He just got chased by hellhounds.
It didn't look like a wolf. It looked more
No,
like a dog.
it was like a scrawny dog that was kind of big.
Or plot twist, it could have just been a stray dog that was just hungry as fuck, so they were wanting
Yeah.
food.
Chupacabra.
What?
Are those in
Chupacabra.
Florida?
But chupacabra, like it's weird because I don't even know what chupacabra is supposed to look like. Are they supposed to look like a dog? or-
There's two popular, I guess, images of what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
One is dog-like, but more like almost what do you call it? Like almost like a starved dog with like a hunched back.
Oh.
And then
okay.
there's like the one that looks like an actual alien.
Oh
When I
shit.
hear chupacabra, I think of like a giant mantis being.
I think about the thing from South Park.
I don't remember.
Oh, the man bear thing.
Yeah.
Man bear pig.
I mean, the
Yeah.
man bear pig, yeah.
Also at my current command, one of our jets is definitely haunted.
One of your what?
One of the
Jet.
jets that we work on is
The
haunted.
jet?
Yeah. So some guy died on it back in the 90s, I want to say. And it's a certain like component that killed him. I can't really say much about it. But when you're on that jet alone with no power applied to it, so it's complete pitch black and you have a flashlight, my LVO is like, hey Stone, go check this out real quick, make sure it's like locked up on the aircraft. I was like, alright, shit. So grab the flashlight. I'm like going through and making sure the flight deck's alright, making sure comm central, everything is good. And the entire time I felt like someone was watching me. I'd like turn around and be like, no one's fucking here. I even said, hello? Nothing. And I'm going back down into the lower lobe of the aircraft to get out of it. Because we have to like hop into the aircraft to get into it when there's no staircase to it. So I'm like going down the ladder well. And I swear to God, something was like looking at me the entire time. I was like shining my flashlight everywhere, and it's a shitty ass flashlight, man. I'm like, fuck this. I book it out of that jet. Like, normally to get out of it, I kind of sit down and then push myself out because it can be a decent fall. Because it's about head height to get into that jet. So I just fucking jumped out of it. I was like, fuck this.
Homeboy did a backflip off of it.
And everyone that's been on the jet is like, yeah, something's off about that jet.
Imagine that you look up and you just see like a shadow overhead.
Being a creeper.
Dude, there's something wrong with that jet.
I can imagine. I can imagine a lot of like these buildings that have so many people going through it, in and out of it, have to have some shit.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned like people kill themselves, right? And like and you know, I could imagine their spirits, you know, lingering, and you know, I have a question. Going back to your first story though.
Yeah.
That little kid, or the kid that, not the little
He
kid,
wasn't
but
a
the
little
kid.
Yeah.
But
Definitely. He was definitely
But-
like 18.
was
or-
he was wearing the same uniform? But
Yeah.
my question is, have you guys ever seen him afterwards? Like, does anybody know who that kid is?
Well, did you guys
Or
even
that-
get a good look at him? Because he said he
Barely.
was like halfway. in,
Yeah,
halfway
he
out
was
the
kind of
door.
like, it was kind of like a shadow, but you could tell he was wearing a uniform, black hair, that type of stuff.
Huh.
So, black hair.
Oh, well, yeah, black is a common hair color. Look at Beto, look at
Well,
Yamato.
he was
Black hair equals haunted.
but he was
Yo.
Caucasian.
No, he was white, for sure.
Yeah, so white. Yeah, which is not really normal, right, for a white kid to have black hair, right? Or is that normal?
It's
I mean, it could have also been like a dark brown. It just
Yeah.
just looked black in there.
yeah, it's dark in
I mean,
there.
yeah,
So
all kind of black hair.
Do you remember what? Do you remember like what kind of hairstyle he had? I know it's a kind of a silly question, but like
He had a comb over with a hard part down the side.
like a fade, you know, like
yeah, he
faded.
was
full
definitely
fade.
faded up.
Because I'm wondering, because if it is, let's say it goes, and I don't know how old it will.
Oh, you're trying
you
to
know,
see like
like
what time
what?
period.
Like, yeah,
Well,
like time period.
In boot camp, we basically all had the same haircut.
So he had like a military cut.
Yeah,
And it's weird because you guys, it was wearing like the same uniform, so which makes me think like, oh, it's the same time period as
Yeah.
you guys, so it's like, I wonder.
I can't remember when we changed the uniform. So we used to have blueberries, like the blue uniform with the digital. But now we switched to green, and that was a couple years ago, I want to say, that we switched to green.
Mhm.
So
he was wearing green,
yeah, he was wearing green.
so it was recent.
So it makes me think about what you said, Beto, about like the whole, maybe it's a different dimension, where it's like a parallel universe to ours, where to that ghost or whatever, like it was talking to someone on their universe, like normally, but then when we perceived it, it's like they were just saying, yeah, hey there, or whatever. What was it saying? Hey guys, or whatever.
Yeah,
You know, but to them on their end, it's normal because he was having a conversation with people on their universe. You know what I mean? His or its universe.
Or it could be like, you know, that thing that what do they call it? Like when certain spirits reenact like their last moments over and over again.
Oh.
So that's why he could have been repeated himself.
So maybe it was a ghost,
yeah, he
right?
just kept on saying "Hey guys," but I was like,
Well,
That's the
think
last
about
words
it.
that he said when he got killed. Hey guys!
Well, did it sound like he was trying to get your attention, or did it sound like he was scared?
it was like
Oh, yeah.
more of attention, not like scared.
I was saying, is like, what if like in his world something was happening to him and he was trying to get somebody's attention to help him?
Maybe.
Oh.
I was saying, hey guys.
And then you said,
Or he was saying, hey guys, then offed himself.
Oh, possibly.
Hey guys!
Dude, that should give me
Slice his
goosebumps.
throat.
yeah, I'm having goosebumps too. And then he also said, yeah, right? He was just like, yeah.
When you said
Yeah.
you want to join us.
Yeah, he was like, yeah. Like, it was more of like a higher pitch type of voice. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like kind of deep. It was definitely more like early 18. Like, he just joined.
Down.
But you think about it too, because you said the lights flashed when you guys ran,
Yeah.
but nobody else ran out of there besides you guys.
Yeah, it was just us two. No, like, no one knew that
I
kid.
would imagine if people were in a room and lights flashed, I would imagine anybody who was in that room would run. So I imagine if there was just a random kid just chilling in there.
Yeah.
Once the lights flashed, he would have probably booked it too.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then my second one is the girl, you know, that was banging on the. Is that common to happen? Not the female shit, but people like banging on the wall, nothing
No.
like that, to wake you guys up, be like, hey guys, come on, and then like wake
No,
you guys.
the only time you would wake up before your RDCs would walk in to wake you up would be if someone's waking you up for watch, and that's a gentle like,
I was gonna say,
hey, wake
yeah.
up, man.
So that makes it even
probably
more
us at
weird.
the same time, huh?
Yeah.
So you guys are expecting it.
So you always kind of know when you're supposed to wake up.
That is creepy. And you guys, you still haven't seen the girl's face, right? You just
No.
saw the black hair.
Yeah.
Well, if she's running, I mean, pretty hard to see her face.
Yeah.
But even when she was walking, you couldn't see. During the first encounter, when she was walking up the stairs. And,
Well, again, all the way down the hallway is kind of a
Oh,
long
far.
distance. It wasn't like a short hallway. It's pretty long.
I'm surprised that none of like the people that were inspecting the rooms, you know, the ones that saw you, I believe the higher ups,
Yeah.
they didn't chase after her and be like, hey, nothing like that.
They
Like,
probably only saw flashes, and then whenever they saw a flash, they would probably go that direction, and they wouldn't see nothing.
Yeah. From my buddy's story, when he went up with the first class, he was like, "Yeah, we we saw her like walk into this compartment. And we both walked in, turned on the lights, and no one was in there.
Oh, so she walked into a room and vanished.
Yeah, so I think that's why the first class looked pretty fucking scared.
Yeah,
when
I
it
would be
came
too
down.
if I was there.
Man, I want to see this shit in real life.
Yeah, I want me too. I never had a
I'm good.
experience
I'll
like
pass.
that.
I don't want to see the Grudge. in the military
Grudge,
outfit
Santa
coming after
calling.
me.
Ship 4, Ship 5, and I want to say 6.
Well, it's one of those things where like you want to see it so you can actually see what kind of emotion you're gonna give off. Like, are you gonna be scared? Or are you gonna be like,
I would like to experience. I would legit want to experience something like that. I don't know how I would react, but like it just seems like interesting. You know, those
It's
experiences.
definitely like a heart-dropping experience. Like, you know when you fall
Mhm.
and like you're not expecting to fall and your heart jumps up? It's
Or
kind of like that.
when you're on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And when you hit that thing that goes
Mm.
down, and it feels like your freaking heart goes up to your throat.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you go back down, and your heart settles.
That's
like
what
adrenaline.
happens. That's what happens to me. So.
Did you ever feel like you were afraid, like scared for your life, kind of experience? Like, oh, this thing is gonna kill me, and nothing like that.
Nah, I was big chillin'.
Huh?
So they didn't give off like, is it Maleficent?
Malicious.
Malicious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, the only
malicious
one that I'd say was malicious was definitely like the
Maleficent.
scratches.
Oh,
But that wasn't an
Oh, which
effective
one? Which?
The scratches.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like throwing up sucked by all means, but
Well, and the pressing on the chest too.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I thought for some reason in the beginning, I thought the throwing up part was kind of like, oh, it must have been like the motion sickness from the boat or whatever.
I mean, no,
We're on
yeah,
Yeah,
we're on
or-
land.
oh,
We
yeah.
just called them ships because.
Oh, right.
I don't
But
know.
like, yeah, so that doesn't explain it, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
like movement or anything like that. So it's like, and the fact that you guys all vomited at once,
Yeah.
that's too much of a coincidence. Like, what the hell is that? That never happens.
Yeah. It was
Maybe
weird.
It's pestilence. One
Pestilence?
of the 4 horsemen.
Like the pesto pasta.
Oh, pestilence, sickness. That's why everybody was vomiting.
Oh.
Y'all experienced one of the 4 horsemen.
That's seven. Wait, is that the 7 deadly sins, or is that?
4
No,
horsemen of the
4
apocalypse?
yeah.
So is that like?
War, pestilence, famine, and death.
Is that from a Greek mythology, or
No,
is
it's
that from?
Christian.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
Well, actually, I think it is in other mythologies.
Like, Travis, you're not Christian. You don't believe in that.
Yeah, but I like demonology and all that stuff.
Hell yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I would have wanted to go to like a university to do demonology.
Are you serious?
I find a lot of.
You
I
want to go to
like
college?
mythological stuff,
You
dude.
want to go to college to look up demons?
Yeah, demons are very
But when you
interesting.
put it like that, it just sounds crazy.
But yeah,
I mean,
that's.
look at the freaking Mormons. They took demonology.
Oh yeah.
Do you guys have any paranormal experiences?
I've been told that I had paranormal experiences, but I was a child, so I don't remember them.
I mean, not anything. To me personally, no. That's why I want to experience paranormal things, because I never really. The only, I guess, quote unquote paranormal crap that I ever experienced was sleep paralysis when I saw like the Exorcist girl. You know, but like other than that, that's
Like
like
you saw the movie, or like you actually
No,
saw the girl?
like I saw the you know, like the smiling like face like that she makes like in the movie, like you know, creepy.
Oh no, I haven't.
Like
seen
I
Exorcist.
oh, you never seen it? But like, well, basically I just saw in my closet where I hang all my like jackets and shit. I saw like a big ass her face, but it's like huge, like covering up the entire like closet. And then I saw another one on the left side of the wall, like on the wall, so like, you know, like just plastered on there. And I could, yeah, it's weird. Like and it's like a smaller face though. And then the one in the closet was way bigger. So that's like the only thing that I saw. But I already knew that, okay, that this must be sleep paralysis. I mean, because another weird thing that I experienced was like 2 o'clock at night, 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, like I saw my dad's TV turn on, like his home theater TV. Like it just turned on, and like with the sound and everything, it was loud. And so I was like, what the fuck, why is my dad like watching TV at this time? And then when I went, and then it kept going on, and I was like, there's no way he's gotta be watching it this loud, right? And then I was waiting for it to turn it off or turn it down, and it never happened. So I was like, an hour passed. I waited. I was like, okay, this is fucking ridiculous. I'm trying to sleep. So I went downstairs, and no one was there.
Shit.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if that's a scientific thing where like maybe the rain or whatever could have like altered like the electrical current, because I heard stuff like that happening before where it could do that, you know, like. And the same thing happened one other time with my mom's room, and the light just suddenly turned on like at 3 o'clock in the morning also, and I was like, what? And then I just turned it off. and I was like, no one's here. What's going on?
It's not really a haunted story, but I think it was when we moved up here. I was staying in my cousin's room, and she had a bunk bed in there, but she had a lot of porcelain dolls on the walls, and I couldn't sleep because I think I described it as it looked like they were hanging.
Oh shit!
But they were on like little table things connected to the wall, but I couldn't sleep because they were all
Oh, you can
just,
see the silhouette.
Staring at you.
and they were just like, it looked like they were hanging to me just because they were just floating on nothing.
Fuck. Scary.
But my mom said that the day my grandmother died is you would always take like a daily nap with her or something like that. And I went into the room to take a nap or whatever, and my mom said that I had ran down the stairs, and she said, what are you doing? You're supposed to be sleeping with grandma. And I said, I can't. There's too many people in the room.
Travis like, I see dead people. Like
And
the
they say
movie.
that when you're a kid, you
You can
actually can see.
see, yeah.
And this was me at 3 years old, so it should be right around the time frame. And it couldn't. And that was the day my grandmother died. Apparently.
Oh.
That's what I've been told anyway.
That makes it even more creepier. Like coincidence.
Because sometimes they say that when you die, there's usually everybody that you know is in the room that are gonna like take you up to heaven or whatever.
Oh, it's like a guidance.
Kind of, yeah.
I had with sleep paralysis. I had it twice. The first time, I just couldn't move. I would wake up and I couldn't move my body or nothing, but I didn't see anything. And then the second time that I had it, I saw like this figure. Like a lot of times I hear it's like most people it's just like a shadow. It's like the shadow of a guy who's either sitting on like the foot of your bed or staring at you. At this one, I'm sleeping, and I have a feeling it's because I just watched. I think it was Annabelle or something the day before. Or the night before, and I'm like wake up. I feel like I'm woken up, and my door. So my door, it doesn't have a handle on it. I just push it, and it like, I guess it squeezes into the wall, so it gets shut. So when you open it, it makes kind of like a thud when you first push it open, and then it creaks. And I'm asleep, and I just hear, like the door kind of pull, and then I just hear the creaking a little bit, and then I just see like a silhouette, a little silhouette of like a girl, like I don't know, probably like a 10-year-old, 12-year-old girl. With pigtails.
Oh.
With pigtails. And it walks into the room, kind of like the foot of my bed off to the side. And it sits there for a little bit, and it does like this little twirl, like a skipping twirl. And then it like sits on the bed, like not like a normal sit, like a plop, like where it does this.
Oh.
And it sits like that. It just like plops on the bed with like the hands loose. And then it just sits there, and it's just like staring at the wall. It doesn't say anything, but I can see like the hands, and when the hands go down, the fingers are like super super long.
Ooh.
So it's like a little kid with like really long fingers, and all I see is that it's staring at the wall, and all of a sudden it does this. It like looks towards me, like turns to look towards me, and then I wake up.
So
And
it
I
was a
like,
nightmare.
It was the only thing the only time I've had twice, and I only saw one thing once. After that was like 8 years ago, and I haven't seen that since.
Fuck. So do you think it was just a nightmare, or you think it was more than that? Like you think, because did it when it was there, like it looked like your actual room, or was it like kind of like?
It was my room. It was my room, and all the sound was normal because I would always sleep with the door open, with the window open. So I remember you could always feel like the breeze of the wind.
Oh, you
I
felt
could
it?
feel the breeze
What
of the
the
wind,
fuck?
and the room was exactly how I had it before. The clock was on.
Everything was detailed. It's not like a dream where like, oh, it's not really detailed. You know
No,
what I
it was
mean?
it was my room exactly.
Holy shit.
Like, but you say you couldn't move at all.
I couldn't move.
So
I couldn't move and I couldn't talk.
So it must be sleep paralysis.
I
Or
think it
who
was.
knows, right? But like at the end of the day, like we don't know, right? Like.
Well, then I had when I was like younger, so I would have been like I don't know what age, but it was before 10. I want to say like around when I was probably 4th grade, so I would have been 9 probably. It was like 8 or 9 because we had just moved to our house in Amboy from Oregon, and when we first moved in, so people hadn't lived in that house for like I guess a few years, and we were the first family to move into there a while, and there was the kitchen, and then like so to the left of the kitchen was like a dining room, and then there was a living room. That was all that was to the left, and then to the right it was me and my brother's room that we shared, and then a little bit further down it was like a washer dryer, bathroom, and then mom and dad's room all the way at the end. So we're the room that was closest to the kitchen, and every night for like maybe a week or so, since I would sleep on the floor, or mother would get the bed and I would sleep the floor, and my head was like kind of towards the door and against the wall. So it's like a trailer. Trailers have really really thin walls, and I don't know if it was the same time, but it was like on the same time. I would hear like the water, like the sink, and I would hear dishes, and I would and I could through the door, I could see like the light from the kitchen was on, and every time that I would wake up and I would see that in my head, I would be like, oh, it's my mom doing dishes probably, and I woke up every single day and I wouldn't feel scared or nothing. I would just see that and I'm like, oh, it's
You
my
just
mom.
assumed, yeah.
And then I think one time I actually like I went up and I was like, actually, I need water. So I get up, and I open the door and I turn around to like go into the kitchen. So literally it's like next door. So there's just a wall. So as soon as I open the door, I just go around the corner and I can see the kitchen right there. So I open the door and as soon as I go in, like the light is still on, but the water turns off, and you hear like the dishes like not break, but like somebody like just dropped them into the sink.
Clean.
And it was like a clean, it's just there, and I don't see nobody there, and I panicked. I turned around, went back in the room, shut it, and I like laid up against the door. And the next day when I was like telling my mom, I was like, do you ever get up and do dishes at night? And she's like, why would I do the dishes at night? I do them in the morning. And I was like, oh, I kept hearing like somebody doing the dishes at night every day for like the last couple of weeks or so. And she's like, that's not normal. And she's like, I was just like, have you ever walked down? I was like, yeah, I did it yesterday. He's like, well, did you see anything? And I was like, no, I saw the water turn off, and like the dishes, like I could hear like the cling from somebody just dropping the dishes. And she was like, okay, if you hear that again, don't walk out of the room. We had like multiple instances where like there was this one time that we were all in the living room, like the whole family. So me, my dad, my mom, my brother, and my two sisters. So my mom and dad are on the couch. We had 3 couches there. So my dad would lay on one, mom would sit on the other, then my sisters would sit on that couch too. And me and my brother would lay on the floor, like watching the TV. And my dad would go smoke every night, like at 10 before he went to bed. And we had this really big glass door there. And my dad gets up and he like walks over to the glass door to go out to the porch and smoke. And he goes to the door and he reaches for the door handle, and then he just stops and he just like freezes there. And he looks there and he keeps looking over our direction, and he looks over at the door and he keeps looking back and forth. And then he just like stands there looking down for a little bit, and then he just walks outside after a while. And then like my mom noticed, and because she asked him, she's like, "What's up?" And he doesn't say anything. He just walks out. And he walks back in, goes over to the couch, sits down, and then he just like looks over, and he keeps looking down at the floor where me and my brother are at. And my mom goes, "What happened?" And he doesn't say anything. And then later on he goes, "I'm gonna go to sleep." And then my mom goes, "Okay." And he like goes up to the room, and then when he goes off, he comes back and calls my mom. And like my dad would call her vieja, like woman. And he calls her, and he goes, "Ben," and then she like walks over, and he tells her, he's like, "Hey, when I went to the door, did anybody move from the kitchen?" And she's like, "No, everybody was here." And he's like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Why?" And he goes, "No reason." goes to sleep. The next morning, he skips going to like outside. He doesn't go outside. He goes straight to bed. And then when he goes to bed, he comes back and he tells the mom, he goes, "Yes, you sure nobody moved yesterday from the living room?" And she goes, "No, everybody was here." And she's like, "Why?" And he goes, "I don't know if I should say." And then she goes, "Just tell me, because you're scaring me." And he goes, "When I went to open the door, the glass door, he's like, I saw the reflection. He saw the reflection of my brother on the other side of the door, like on the porch looking in."
What the fuck?
That's why he was scared. So he kept asking, he's like, "Did anybody move? Did anybody move?" And she goes, he's like, "No, he was laying on the floor." He goes, "Both of them were laying on the floor." And he goes, "Oh, okay." And then he never talked about it again.
Oh, well.
He never brought it up.
Oh my god. He saw your brother. Wow.
Yeah. And in that house, I have a feeling that house was haunted, because so when we first arrived to it, the wall in the living room was all not glass, mirrors. It was all mirrors.
Really? What the fuck?
And
that's weird.
And the very center, it was all panels. The very center of the mirrors, it was cracked from the top all the way down.
Huh.
And it was just like different. So it was like 2 rows that took up the entire wall, and it went all the way across the living room wall, just mirrors stacked up with each other. And there was like on one of the corners, there was like a red splatter, which we assume was like nail polish or something. But then there was like a crack in the window.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, what the hell is this? Later on, I found out that people believe that mirrors are like portals for shit. And in that household, my brother would sleepwalk really, really bad, to where he would like, because we slept in the room first, and it didn't really happen in the room. But once when my sisters got older, they put my sisters in that room, and then me and my brother had to shift to the living room. So we put a bed in the living room, and we put like a curtain dividing us. And like almost every night, he would get up from the bed and he would leave. Like he would go outside, and he would be gone for like an hour, 2 hours at a time, and then he would come back and he would just lay down like normal. And since I was sleeping, we were sharing the bed, so every time he got up, I would feel him getting up. And eventually I told my mom, I was like, hey, he leaves and he goes outside. So mom was like, okay, we're gonna put a broom. So she put a broom like wedged in the door so you can't open the door.
Yeah.
And he wakes up one day and he goes to open the door, and since he can't open it because the broom was stuck in there, he starts like pulling on it really hard, and then he starts hitting it, like he starts banging his head on it.
Damn.
And then finally, like, I get up and I run to the room and I go get my mom and my dad, and I was like, hey, he's trying to get outside. And then my dad comes out and he like grabs him and he like walks him over to the bed and just lays him down. And I was like, I'm afraid to sleep here now. And Maddie goes, that's okay, it's okay now, he's asleep. And I was like, okay. Slept there, nothing happened the rest of the day.
Has your brother always sleepwalk, like even before you guys lived in that house? Or?
No, he didn't sleepwalk when we were in the room either. It was
Ah.
it's just as soon as we slept in the living room. That's when like all his weird shit started happening.
Shit.
He would like I would be asleep,
Yes,
and I would wake up because he would be pounding on my chest.
Oh,
as I was
damn.
asleep.
Holy shit.
He would be pounding on my chest, or he'd be like shaking me really hard.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I would wake up, he would point and he'd be like, "What the hell is that?" Or he said like, "What's that?" And he would point, and I looked down. I was like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "What is that?" And he's just staring, and I'm looking at him. I was like, "I don't see anything." And then I would get scared, so I would like, because the light was kind of close. It was like maybe on the wall across, so I had to get up from the bed, and I would have to flick it. So I would have to go forward and flick it. And when he kept on pointing, I would go over and I finally flicked it, and I looked over and I see his eyes are closed. And then I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then he would just lay back down and fall asleep. It was like multiple times. So he would wake up and he would point at something, or sometimes he would just wake up and he'd be like, "What are you doing?" Like he would tell me, "What am I doing?" After he would like hit on my chest to wake me up, and then out of nowhere, it just randomly stopped.
He's like he wakes up after and be like, "Oh, what are you
Yeah, but then I think that only happened for like the first couple years that we lived in there, and then it just stopped.
Wow." Your brother's like, "It's just a prank, bro," and then he goes back to sleep.
But the thing is, when we left outside, we didn't know what he did because he would leave for like 2 hours, like at night, and then he would just come back and fall asleep. And we lived in the woods in the middle of nowhere.
Holy shit.
That's crazy. Hey, Beto, didn't you also? I remember you told me that story where you set up cameras and your sister saw, or
I didn't set up cameras. My sister set up cameras.
Yeah, your sister.
Yeah. So
and
this was pretty recent.
Yeah.
My so we live in an area that's like everything around it is pitch black. A lot of times we would see like really random stuff, or people would come onto the property, or like people who do like they would get drugged up on our area. We would see people randomly walk through there, and my sister apparently one time when she went to work, she saw like a person like out in the yard, and when she walked out, they ran, and so she leaves like at 6 in the morning. I leave at 4, so I was out there before she saw it, and then. So she got scared and she bought cameras to put outside the house. So she put one out by the porch and one in the backyard, because her room is facing the backyard. And one of the days, she checks the camera every day before she like goes outside to go to her car. And she checks the camera one day and she sees a guy sitting on the chair on the porch. And probably it was like 5, maybe 5:02. So I leave. I walk out the door at 4:50.
Oh shit.
And at 5:02 there was a guy on the porch. So that guy was on the area when I walked out, and he was there. And my sister saw that, and she goes to go get my dad. And she walks out, goes to get my dad, and she's like, "There's somebody out there." And man, I looks to the window, and he's like, "There's nobody there." And she's like, "I just saw him on the camera." And we're like, "Oh, okay, check it." So she goes through on that because she saw it. She actually recorded it, and she has like a recording of a person, but you can't see the guy's face. And he's like sitting on a chair like this, just at 5 in the morning on the porch, randomly.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, it's just a guy who probably was like drunk and he went to
cracked out or
sober up.
something.
But the creepier one is my brother bought a truck recently from a guy who passed away, and he bought it from the guy's friend, and he parked the truck in the backyard under a barn where my sister has a camera. And it was like this one day, this one was at night. It was probably like 9 or so. And she was hearing something outside, so she checks her phone onto the camera, and she says she sees like a figure of a person standing in the backyard, like right in between where her window is and where the truck is, and it's just standing there with like the arms down and stuff, not moving or nothing. So she gets scared and she gets out the room to go tell my dad. When she goes out there to show him the phone, she's like, there's nothing in the room. So my dad goes out there and we go walk out there. We don't see anything. And later on, she should tell my brother about it. And he goes, I wonder. He goes, I think you just caught the ghost. Because before we had never seen that, and all of a sudden when we get the truck here, we see a figure standing there,
like a silhouette, right?
Yeah, like a silhouette of a person. But it was also foggy, so what I was saying is like it could have been like just a person standing there. But since the fog was there, it only let you like capture the outline of it. But that one, she didn't do since it's not a recording. She has to screenshot it if she wants to keep it.
Yeah.
She didn't screenshot that because she saw it and she ran out of the bed.
She got scared. Yeah.
And when I told my dad, the other ones that she was looking at it for a while and she could tell it was a human standing there. She actually screenshotted it and went to go show my dad so my dad could see the picture.
Yeah.
But that one, she saw it and panicked and just ran out. And by the time she went to show my dad, there was nobody on the camera anymore.
And it's weird because it's because at least that first guy, he was sitting down and he was clearly maybe like high or something, or drunk, or like
I think he was
drugged out, whatever, you know, like. But the second one, it looks more like you can't see the thing, and the fact that it's just standing there
in the backyard.
Yeah, like who does that? No, even like I feel like if it was a person that's cracked out, they wouldn't even be standing there like that. You know what I mean? Like they would be moving around, be like.
Well, the thing that I was saying is like, I was like, since it's standing there, I wonder if it's staring towards your window, or is it staring at the truck?
Yeah.
Because her window's directly across from the truck. So it's like it's right in between. So which one? Because since it's a silhouette, she couldn't tell what way it was facing. It was just chilling there.
Scary stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like we got a lot of our experiences down. I mean, I didn't have much to begin with, but hopefully that's why we want to experience more paranormal stuff like that maybe in the future. So maybe have the chance to talk about it in this podcast.
Well, also I think hopefully if we're able to get this podcast going, I want to do something where we have any like of the listeners like send us their stories.
Yeah.
And we could read them out and hear that, because hearing other people's stories
is creepy. Very scary.
Yeah, because even if you've had them, if you've had your own experiences and then you start hearing these, because by a lot of standards, our stories are tame. Like you hear some of these stories and they're freaking crazy.
Yeah.
So I want to do that in the future once if we get a following going, and we'll read those online.
Yeah. But I think we got a lot of our stories out of the way, and again, we thank you guys, the listeners, for actually listening to our podcast and giving us a chance. But is there any parting words you guys would like to say?
Nope.
All right. Well, I'm Yamato.
I'm Beto.
I'm Travi.
I'm Gage.
Signing out. Peace.
Deuces.